This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the final week and the final race here of this edition, at least, of Racebot TV Friday Primetime. We're here in the Formula 3 cars once again here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for round 12. I am Connery Maddock, Will Vincent as ever on the broadcast with me here this evening. And this is going to be an absolutely fantastic event to just finish off the season here. And what a very good season it has been as well.
It's been a fantastic season, Connery. We've had lots of interesting racing, and what a place to finish as well. WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, the home of the corkscrew. And, well, there's a big field here today, 19 drivers. It's going to be a fun old race.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and it's going to be frantic. Qualifying, well, the end of qualifying just getting itself done and dusted here. We do have Christoph Herbingo, who's the overall championship leader when you look at the iRacing official side of things. His next closest challenger will be Paul Elbrink, but as throughout this season, Elbrink hasn't been participating in these exact races throughout the season. He's participated in some of the other strengths of field elsewhere and at different times as well, so we don't get to see him, but we do see Herbingo. We've got other names as well. Suelio Almeida, he currently starts in P5, so look to keep an eye on him to work his way through the field and inside of those podium positions as well. So this field is looking pretty good here for the final race, Will.
It is. Nice big field. Of course, you don't want too many drivers on this track, Connery, because it is narrow at points, and also you can get the cars stacked up, but we're almost heading ourselves to the grid.
Yes, we are. The session gets itself changed over, and this is how the grid looks for your final race of the season. Fernando Antli Busquets takes pole position here by using a 112.911 there, right at the top of the field. The only driver in the 112s. Christoph Herbingo, championship leader, also on the front row, P2. Ralph Benitez in P3 with Nathan Brito, P4. Suelio Almeida, mentioned him a little bit earlier on, P5 for now. We usually see him up near the front, so definitely one to keep an eye on. Mehdi Sekai in P6. Guillaume Defandre, P7 with David Holland in P8. Armelian Wies in P9, and Loic Barb will round out your top 10 today on this starting grid. Alistair Hay, P11 with Juan Pablo Tanoni in P12, Cedric Krolczyk in P13 with Kenny Barrell in P14. P15 will go to Petruniemi. Andrea Bettetti will line up in P16, and then you have your drivers that did not set a qualifying time. Bruno Berg P17 with Sebastian Chevalier in P18 with Luciano Lourenco there in P19 to round out your 19 car grid. So as these guys take themselves to the grid here today, Bruno Berg, the first of the non-qualifiers, usually a very, very good mid-pack runner indeed. Let's see how far he can climb from a very, very poor qualifying. And speaking of the grid, though, this grid's on a little bit of an incline uphill, so it might be a bit tricky for some of your drivers to start here, Will.
Yeah, indeed so. And turn number one, Fogarty Corner, is actually known as. It's also difficult, that fast left-hander during the race itself. But turn number two, Connery, the real turn two is that's where we're going to see the fireworks.
Yep, absolutely. Just 10 seconds away from getting this race started. The engine's already reaching the red line. We'll get the green flag and the green lights here for the final round of the season. Very good start there from Busquets from pole position. Jumps or everyone down in towards turn 1. To Balva P2 though. Benitez trying an outside line over Herbingo. Herbingo gets a loose through the middle of the corner. It's a bit of a contact between the two. Herbingo will actually lose out on P2 as a result, but there's still battling going on behind Brito versus De Flandre right in the back of the shot. Still side by side between Barb and Holland as well. This is positions just inside of your top 10. It was very frantic through 1 and 2, but I think everyone survived here with the exception of the number 7, the Bruno Bergwell.
Yeah, but it's Almeida is going to the inside there of Herbinot as they head themselves up through the King. This is all the word. That's going to be Herbinot turned around as they worked up the King, Connery. I was about to say that King can be so difficult. I've seen three-wide racing there once, but Herbinot now down to the rear of the field.
Yeah, it's always risky going side by side through that left-hand kink, and it wasn't even the side-by-side that was the problem, Will. It was Nathan Brito from behind just getting caught up in the rear end of Herbingo, spinning him right round. He drops almost all the way to the back of the field with quite a bit of damage to that car as well. He's struggling to keep it on the grey stuff. So for your championship leader, this is a horrible, horrible final race.
Yeah, indeed. So for Herbinot, he's all the way now down in 19th place. And you are right, Connery. It was partially because of the stack up there down at the kink itself. 3 drivers all fighting for the same piece of real estate. Well, since that's happened, actually, Connery, everything's kind of now calmed itself down a little bit. There's no real battles going on inside your top 10. In fact, the best battle we've got right now, this is for P15 on track. Everyone else has kind of thought, okay, let's calm it down a little bit.
That does tend to happen when cars are spinning right in the middle of the racetrack, like what happened to Christoph Herbingo. People behind being a little bit more cautious. It has spread out the field somewhat, as you quite rightfully mentioned, but it is a 2-car breakaway right at the front of the field. Fernando Busquets and Ralph Benitez have managed to get away from the field. It's about 3 seconds separating themselves and the final podium sitter right now of Suelio Armedia, so they've done a very good job early on.
They have, and well, Benitez, part of that, of course, Connery, was because of the stack up we had with Herbinot and Armedia. That did slow the group down by about 1.5 seconds through that one corner alone. In fact, actually, Armedia's going to start be putting under pressure right now from by Brito as they head themselves out of that final corner towards turn 1 and 2 again. Brito's only about 1/4 of a second behind. You see a lot of drivers as well, Connery, taking what looks to be part of the dirt runoff area down at turn 2. It's safe at that point, but you just can't lock the car up under braking.
Yeah, you do have to be very, very careful. Brito actually coming under threat from De Flandre coming through turn 4, side by side through that. They almost bang wheels off the corner. They'll take the fight down towards 5 now. Brito on the inside line. De Flandre fighting on the outside, and he manages to keep it there as well. But do they dare to keep it side by side through the kink? That's going to be no. De Flandre backs out of it, but it was a very well-spirited fight.
It was, as they now head themselves down towards the corkscrew. Sorry, our cameraman there just seemed to be a little bit drunk as they headed themselves through the kink that last time by. But De Flandre does get a good run again, actually, on the run on the exit of the corkscrew. This will set him up. He's about a car length behind right now as they come into the second to last corner. Final corner coming up, and that final corner as well, very slow turn number 12 here, Connery. And it's also very easy to lock up and go wide. De Flandre gets a good run again as they come past the stripe.
It's a very good run indeed. He was able to get the traction down side by side, down towards turn 1. De Flandre on the inside. He has to complete this move on the brakes. He does go deep, but has he gone too deep? No, he's absolutely perfect there on the brakes into 1 and 2. Nathan Brito can't do anything to try and defend that one, so an easy position gained there from De Flandre. He's up 3 positions on his starting position already, so a fantastic amount of early race pace there coming out from the driver from the Benelux region. And now Nathan Brito, can he find something in the bag, or is he going to slide even further back?
Well, Brito, as we're on board of him as he works himself through that kink again, you've got to remember there is the anti-cut curb on the inside of that corner. We've got a car going very slowly.
Herbingo.
Yeah, that is Herbingo. He's a lap down, actually. So I thought that was going to be one of your top 3 drivers, but it's not. But actually, Brito loops it down on the corkscrew.
Yeah, that's something many drivers in sim racing have done, and of course in real life racing as well. Brito trying to nose it into the corner. He misses the first apex. He just gets on the curb for the second apex though and spins that car right around. It's so easy to do with the elevation changes coming through there. It does mean that Brito now has dropped all the way down into P10. That's a net loss of 6 positions on his qualifying, so that is nowhere near the ideal situation. Herbingo is actually still out there trying to lap, albeit being a lap down, and that car's not looking all too healthy. He's miles and miles off the pace right now, so I think it would be best advised to just bring that car in for any damage repairs that it has, because no one else is behind him at this stage.
Yeah, and I do think he did upset the braking zone of Brito as well. As I was having a look at the replay on board of Brito, Connery, he just seemed to be unsighted, so he actually locked up a little bit coming into the corkscrew itself. And if you mess up the first part, we're looking at Benitez right now doing it pretty well actually. If you mess up the first part, it's very difficult to actually recover at any part of the corkscrew itself, because it's blind off-camber apexes. You end up either having to go off or end up running onto a curb or losing a second and a half anyway.
Yeah, you do have to be so careful, so line dependent through there. It's one of the trickiest sequences of corners on any racetrack you ever know, so it's definitely very much a challenge. We do have a battle closing though for your race lead. Fernando Anthony Busquets there in the race leading position at the moment, but Ralph Benitez behind is closing him in bit by bit here. So Benitez trying to keep himself within drafting distance, I suppose, to the driver ahead of him, and then maybe just having a look towards the end of the race to try and make a move.
Yeah, we just saw a replay as well, by the way. Petteri Niemi in the number 18 car from Finland, going off down at turn number 11. It looked to be a classic case of just missing the apex entirely. He managed to straighten the car down into 11 itself. He does run, actually, over the kind of raised anti-cut curb a little bit. That caused the car to go around. He's down in 15th place, but you are right, Connery. To go back to the race lead, Benitez is putting the pressure on Busquets right now. And it's worth noting that your top 2 drivers have also pulled out another second over that number 2 machine of Almeida.
Yeah, incredible pace being shown by our top 2 drivers right now, and in this case, Busquets is going to reply in terms of the pace differential between your leading 2 cars. He manages to extend the gap by about 0.5 of a second coming across the line that time around. So trading lap times up the front of the field seems to be the order of the day. Meanwhile, in your mid-pack, you do have battles here. We've got Armelian Wies versus Alistair Hay on the way down towards turn 1 and 2. So this is a battle for P8 and P9 here between these 2 drivers. We've seen Wies in rounds previous, and he's generally been able to do a very good job. But Alistair Hay, I haven't seen him so far in any of the broadcasts that we've done, so really a big unknown, a big question mark, but let's see what he can do.
Yeah, plenty of Hotzenfeld stickers though on that Alistair Hay car, which generally means he's got some form of speed behind him. We're actually on board of Hay as he works himself up the hill right now. He's been putting that pressure on Armelian Wies for the last couple of laps. The car's gone off ahead. I've got a feeling this is Herbino again. Yeah. Creating some issues for everyone. So Herbino, he might well be the championship leader, but he might end up being protested if he's not careful in this race, because when he is, in my honest and unbiased opinion, causing a couple of issues for drivers right now, and especially if you go off down at turn number 6, Connery, you put that dust into the air, and because you've really got to concentrate that braking into the corkscrew, doesn't matter if you're 2 seconds up the road, it is a big distraction.
Yeah, it is. You just direct the attention of the drivers behind towards your car instead of towards the road, and then that can cause all sorts of interesting situations with drivers being very distracted. Hay goes very deep on the brakes in towards 1. That would have been a very optimistic move if he sensed an opportunity there, but he's able to close the gap in just a little bit. Herbingo is ahead, being that car that is a lap down, currently running about a second off the pace of these guys, so they'll be catching up to him towards the end of this lap here, and let's see if he causes a couple of problems, I suppose.
Yeah, worth noting, by the way, the biggest mover inside the top 10 is like Barber on board of him in the number 4 car right now. He's not your biggest mover in the field. That one will go to the number 19 machine of Lento, and he's up 7 places today. Biggest loser in the field. Well, we talked about this one already, Connery. We don't want to harp on too much about it, but Brito having 2 incidents in this race so far today, now runs at the very rear end of your top 10. It's actually, though, getting a very good seat of this continued battle between Weiss and Hay going on for P number 8.
Yeah, we will. So Brito bringing himself into this particular battle. So now it's a 3-car train on the way down towards turn 1. Brito has the double drop, but he doesn't decide to commit either way just yet. Finally decides to head his way down the inside, very deep on the brakes, and he's able to make it work. Alistair Hay not exactly fighting that one, backed out early, realizing the pace that Brito still has, despite the instance that Brito has had, and he's able to slice his way back through the field. I think it was just a normal single car spin there for Brito earlier on in the race through the corkscrew. He hasn't collected any damage as a result of that one, so his car will still be up to pace, but so the same cannot be said for Herbinger, who's still very much down the field.
Yeah, he is. We saw a replay there of Brito as well. I was just thinking he was late on the brakes, but not too late, so the fact that he'd have to lock up or end up running into the back of Weiss. So showing himself some good skills there, number 17 machine, as he works himself into one take. And I am going to miss this series, actually, Connery, because whilst it's not necessarily being door-to-door, corner-to-corner action, it has shown a number of things, and this is one of them as well. These races that take about 35-40 minutes. Ooh. As I say that, Brito almost literally runs into the rear of Weiss. Because they take 40 minutes, we do have things like tyre strategy that comes into play. We've seen drivers start off well and fall back, and other drivers manage their tyres better. I think we're going to see that again here in the final round of the championship.
Maybe, just maybe. The track temperature is relatively cool since we are towards the evening here in sim time. So the track temperature not really going to be affecting the tyres all that much. So they may be able to survive just a little bit longer than they otherwise would be able to. So you can push a little bit harder. But Brito trying to recover from his a little bit of a moment down towards that final corner where he kind of outbroke himself unnecessarily, I have to say. Oh. But he's keeping it on the grey stuff. We do have a battle, though. Almeida, that is going to be with the Flandre, I believe. And that was the Flandre through very, very quickly. Almeida made a mistake coming out the corkscrew.
He did. Let's get ourselves a second look at that. We saw it as we were looking at the Flandre. But here is Almeida into the corkscrew. Burst apex is fine. Just gets snap oversteer at the point the camber switches at the middle of the corkscrew there. Almeida consequently only loses 1 position, so it's not the end of the world for him, but we get ourselves one more look, shall we then, from up above.
Oh, he's overcooked turn 1 and 2 as well, so not the most healthy of couple of sectors here for Suelio Almeida. It's been pretty horrible.
Yeah, it has. So he still remains in 4th place, but he's now 2.2 seconds behind the Flandre. And if he's not careful, Mehdi Sakai in the 11 car even, running in P number 5, will be catching him because, let's have a look, Connery. Last time by gained half a second, that was even down at the corkscrew. This time by, he's pretty much gained about 8 tenths of a second already.
Yeah, he has, so good progress being made over the past couple of laps for him, and well, let's just have a little bit of look further downfield because that's the 2 battles that are close enough to be showing up as red on my timing screens. At least there's Weiss versus Brito on the way up towards the corkscrew. Brito was looking for a move into there, which is very optimistic considering the challenge that sequence of corner poses. So he'll fall in line all the way down through this final sector. There's a good couple of lapped cars ahead. Brito committed down the inside, shoves Weiss out to dry across the gravel. That was very aggressive, and dare I say overly so.
Yeah, and then he also gets himself past.
Oh, Weiss loops it.
Yeah, so Weiss loops it, but actually, it looks as though that Brito then just did a dive bomb down on Alistair Hay as well. We need to get ourselves another look at this. There we are, down into that second to last corner. Now, where Weiss got hit, Connery, it was on the right rear, and it was around the suspension area. So I think actually this is more likely to be some potential damage to the suspension then of Weiss's car. We're going to get a final look. This is from the rear of that number 12 car, now in 12th place. Yeah, it was the right rear corner that took all of the damage of that.
Yeah, there wasn't a gap on the inside, I feel, for Brito to be able to make that move work. And, well, that particular turn, turn 10, is not really the best of overtaking opportunities at this track. And Brito, well, he tried to make an opportunity, but unfortunately, as a result, it's in contact and shoved another driver out. So he might well get a protest for that one, considering how aggressive that particular move was. But it does mean now we get to look elsewhere out there on track. Krolovic has just lost a position, I believe. Yes, he's gained a position, excuse me, because Armelian Wies has spun it yet again, this time coming through the left-hand kink. So his car is definitely not healthy.
Yeah, you'd get it more, and you just see that car so twitchy. When you're doing an uphill left-hand like that, you are going to be putting a lot of load on it's actually the left rear, the right rear, sorry, of that car, and he's going to put it on towards pit road, almost certainly. Indeed he does. So from now 15th place on track, Armelian Wies is on pit road, and he's really the second casualty of the day after Christophe Herbinot, who did actually come on towards pit road to make a get some damage repaired on that car. So he's actually classified as 1 lap down right now. The other driver who we saw Brito go past was actually another lap down car. That was Andrea Ricchetti in the number 15 machine. So it wasn't actually, hey, he got past. He did that a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, he did. So a good couple of drivers a lap down already. So that's going to be Armelian Wies, Christophe Herbinot, Brachetti, Petri Nimi, and Bruno Berg, who actually did not take the start, I believe. He seems to be still down on towards the pit lane, 9 laps down, so he's going to be out for the rest of this race. So that's unfortunate for him. We've seen him throughout this series tend to do pretty well as well, so it's an unfortunate end for him. Christophe Herbinot has been able to gain the position over Armelian Wies, because Wies had to come down the pit lane to try and get a bit of damage repaired. He will rejoin the racetrack in just a couple of moments' time. So now we have this interesting dynamic, Will. If we've got a couple of drivers that are actually a lap down, that may start to affect your race leaders a little bit, at least later on in the race, if they fall back even further, because this race lead battle, well, is staying within a second right now. 7/10 of a second separate them on the relative, and I think for both of these drivers, they wouldn't want anyone else to get involved.
No, and it's also worth noting, Connery, that over the last couple of laps, Benitez has been keeping that gap honest. It did fall up to about 1.1 seconds about 3 laps ago, but as we're just going to show you the graphic again on your screen, on lap number 13, he gained 3/10 of a second, or he did lose 4/10 on lap number 12. So it's back and forth right now between Busquets and Benitez.
We've had a spinner, David Holland in the number 14. It's an oversteer moment on entry to turn 10 here for the driver of the 14. So a little bit too aggressive with the steering input, perhaps. Getting that back end out, sliding across the apex, wasn't able to recover things and had to take a bit of a while to try and spin that car back around. Does lose positions to the likes of Alistair Hay as a result. So that's not a good sequence there for David Holland. Slides back further. He's lost 1 position on his qualifying, so still not a bad race for Holland, but without that incident, it definitely would have been better.
Yeah, I will also say it's still a better attempt at doing a 360 in the car than my wife did.
I remember that.
You were there. We had to push it out of a ditch.
Yeah, I've never been more scared of you there, Will. Like, you seemed very, very concerned with how things were going. I guess is the way I'll phrase that. So
well, I was the one paying for the car, so you're back on your race leaders. And actually, worth noting that Benitez lost about 3/4 of a second that last lap.
Yes, he has. So that is a little bit concerning. So De Flandre in P3, actually. He's about 6.8 seconds off your leader, but he is actually running faster lap times than both P1 and P2 right now. But I think it's a little bit too late here for De Flandre, unless Busquets and Benitez get into a little bit of an altercation. We've got about 7.5 laps to go here in this one, the final race of this edition or this season of Race Sport TV Friday Primetime. We have the battle for the race lead to be concerned about. We have the battle between Almeida and Barb, actually, to look at as well. So this is the battle to stay inside of the top 5 here between Almeida and Barb. And Almeida, I did say at the top of the show that he'd be one to look out for, trying to clamber his way up inside those podium positions, but he's just stayed exactly where he started.
He has, and he's got like Barb all over the rear of him as well, actually. Only 4/10 of a second is the gap as they work themselves down towards 10 again here. And let's have a look, actually. Well, Almeida, of course, he had that horrible lap. He's lost 7 seconds to Loic Barb on lap number 15 of this event. So that's the reason why Barb's back in it right now. But it does seem to be that before that, Almeida was turning faster laps in that number 2 car. As we go on board, actually, with the hashtag GoSub number 2 Brazil car. And, well, it's looking a little bit better through turn 1 and 2. Just try to keep an eye out. I don't see any damage in that car either, Connery.
It does seem relatively clean there from Loic Barb. I'm just having a little bit of an inspect myself. As actually, just saying that, have you noticed something with the mirrors?
No, I haven't.
One's very much lower than the other. If you look up the onboard, that is so we're talking about damage. I think we've spotted it.
Yeah. Okay. Well done. Good job. Good job on that one.
Yeah, but I don't know how much that is going to be affecting things. So obviously it's like side pod damage there for like Barb, which may just be affecting his pace a little bit here. He's running about a couple of tenths of a second slower than he would otherwise be doing in this sort of half clear air, half not. So still some pace in that car, just not 100%. And let's see if he's able to actually close the gap on Almeida coming across the line. I don't think he'll be able to, but he's only gone, and well, he's proved me right there. He lost about 4/10 of a second there over Almeida, so that car not at all healthy then.
Okay, Connery, I'm going to have to say it. I don't have the graphic anymore. You blew it.
Yeah, I did.
There's a reason why. The mirror on the left-hand side of the car is higher than the right-hand side of the car because they've got this big thing that's on the left-hand side of the car, which means that if you had the mirrors at the same point, you wouldn't be able to see anything from the left. That's the reason why it's higher. It's not damage. You blew it.
Wow. Okay. That's one thing that's been hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
That is that is weird. I never actually noticed that before with these cars. That is. Yeah, that's what that is.
But we're back on board with Loic Barb anyway. Carry on.
Yeah.
No one will notice.
Yeah, that is something I legitimately didn't know. You know that saying, you learn something new every day? Well, I have learned my new thing for the day, I suppose. But Loic Barb then, you know, well, I guess it doesn't excuse his slow lap time then on the last time around. So I think Loic Barb was wishing he had damage there in that situation to try and excuse that one, but it doesn't look any better this time. It doesn't look like the gap to Almeida has actually gotten any bigger at this stage. There's a 14.1 for Almeida, it's a 14.3 there for Loic Barb, so he continues to drop yet more time to the driver of the number 2. So looks like this one's just going to spread out for now. But Almeida, he's been making these sorts of little mistakes, dipping tires into the dirt a little bit over these past couple of laps, and I don't think that's really strategic at all. I think he's just sort of pushing that car a little bit too hard. Of course, you can do that at some points on this racetrack, but at places where he's been doing it on occasion, I don't think that's the optimal thing to do.
Yeah, it's not. And just trying to keep an eye out, though, on that ongoing battle for the race lead because of the fact that Benitez is still there. But what it seems to be, he gets into that dirty air, Connery, and then he loses a couple of tenths for a second. He just had a miserable run for the final corner. That cost him about a tenth and a half on that corner alone. He gets into that dirty air, and then he just doesn't have anything that he can go to push further. We have seen overtaking on this track, so I think it's more on the head of Benitez than it is necessarily anything through his car.
Could well be. Still does not gain time on this lap, so Almeida is stretching that gap out for P5 and looking to do so throughout the 4 laps that we have remaining. We still have the race lead to be concerned about, though, but this one has been sort of trading lap times ever since the start of the race wheel here between Busquets and Benitez. It's just been bouncing between 7/10 of a second behind and a full second behind. I don't think Benitez can actually break this metaphorical bubble that we talk about here in downforce cars to get himself any closer.
No, he's not. And Biscuits, in the meanwhile, has done a fantastic job getting pole position, of course, here today in the #1 car, which means he's the highest I-rated driver in the field today. And, well, of course, finishing first, being the #1 car.
Beryl.
Oh, yeah,
number
Beryl
16.
indeed. He's spun around. Let's go and have a look at him. But, of course, being #1 and finishing first place, Connery, will mean that he will get some form of I-rating. Of course, if you're the #1 car and you finish outside about the top 6, you generally would lose I-rating. As here's a replay then of Kenny Borra, and this looks like it's going to be some form of snap oversteer. Yeah, exit of the corner, snap oversteer down at turn number 4.
Just buries it into the tire barriers, and well, he tries to put it in reverse, spin up the wheels, but the rear tires weren't gripping, so he was just spinning them up.
The rear tires are about a foot off the ground, that's why.
Yeah, that's that is very much why. Brito actually goes for another spin, at least on the live pictures, so drivers having a couple of issues here in the final laps of the race. It might just result in a couple of battles here and there starting to appear. Deflandre, he's gone for a spin as well. That's the P3 runner coming out of the thing. So 3 different issues for 3 different drivers, almost all at the same time here. That is a little bit concerning, especially for the drivers that haven't had mistakes yet.
Yep, that is Deflandre. Very slow, very lazy spin. You got to, of course, remember that these are downforce cars, Connery. So if you end up getting completely out the gas and trying to tippy-toe around the corner, you actually have virtually no grip at all. On board of Deflandre for a second of these replays, and he does actually catch the sleeping policeman curve on the inside of the corner. That disrupts the handling of the car. He gets off the gas pedal, but at that point he's always going to be a passenger with a snap oversteer that you expect to get.
Yeah, so the mistakes and the lapses in concentration starting to settle in, but Benitez, he'll be hoping that he doesn't have any of those until the end, after the end of the race. He sits in P2 right now, and he's actually got that gap to the race leader down to 0.4 of a second on the run all the way up to the corkscrew. This is the closest this gap has been since the race started, and Benitez, has he just been sitting back for most of this race, trying to conserve tires and then maybe have an attack coming on towards the last lap here? Certainly seems to be the plan, but can he make it work? Busquets has had a very good last sector here to try and stem the bleeding, but this is where the attack starts now for Benitez. Get that launch off the final corner and hog the slipstream all the way down to 1.
Yeah, and you can see the defensive line already being taken by Busquets. It's a bit like Simon Pagenaud, of course, in the Indy 500. He was weaving quite a bit, shall we say, in that final lap. Benitez overshoots through turn number 2, Connery, and that essentially could have given the race to Busquets.
It could have. He's still in a position to capitalize here if he logs these sectors together, trying to maximize every single corner possible. He pushes very wide coming out of turn 4. The gap is half a second on the way through 5 now. Slight missed apex from Benitez isn't going to help. Gap up to 0.6 of a second now, so I think Busquets has just done enough here. Coming through the camp, you can see Benitez, he's trying so hard, he's pushing so hard, but he's losing time as a result of it now. Up towards the corkscrew, 0.7 of a second, 0.8 of a second is the gap. Fernando Anthony Busquets has been clear over this past lap or so, but can he finish it off? Coming through the final couple of corners, lap traffic won't be a factor. It's ahead. If this race went 1 lap longer, then that might be a different story. Through the final corner, Fernando Anthony Busquets will win the final race of the season here on RaceSpot TV, Friday prime time in the iRacing Formula 3 Championship. Ralph Benitez second, and we've got Guillaume Deflandre down in 3rd place as well. Fantastic race from all.
Yeah, indeed. Benitez gave it everything on those last couple of laps, Connery. Just as I said that he was really struggling to get up within that half-second barrier, he proved us wrong, but he completely overcooked turn number 2, that long 180-degree left-hander, and consequently, he threw his chance of being close to the race win away.
Yep, he did. The rest of the runners heading their way across the line now. Well, the closest battle, perhaps, that might be a thing at the end of this race is the one for P12 and P13, because Kolojic and Chevalier are pretty close out there on circuit, but I do not think this one is going to change unless Chevalier goes for an almighty dive bomb down through the final corner. Carries fantastic speed down the hill here. Sets up the run through turn 10, but still a little bit too far back, arguably. He's going to go deep on the brakes regardless, but Krolczyk will hold position here through the final corner. And those two cars will be your final finishers here on the leading lap. Across the line they will go. Krolczyk P12, Chevalier P13. And that is everyone done. And that is the season done, Will.
It is. What a season it has been. The iRacing Formula 3 Championship. And we're going to talk about it in a bit more detail in a minute, Connery. We have no idea what is going to be next season because we have absolutely no say in it.
Yeah, we have no say in what series will be on this Racesport TV Friday Prime Time next season. That is a decision for the viewers to make. So keep an eye out during the Week 13 update period that we have here on iRacing for a forum thread, then a survey link, and then you get to decide what we broadcast here for the next 12 weeks. So I can't wait to see what you come up with. Of course, for the series that we have broadcast the last couple of times won't be available to be voted again. So unfortunately, the Formula 3 cars won't be an option for next time around. But, variety is the spice of life, Will.
Yeah, we've had, over the last couple of seasons, we've had some very interesting choices. Of course, last time out we had Formula Renaults. This time it's been Formula 3s. Maybe we might get something which is a tin-top car for the first time in a while. I know there's often a lot of competition between IndyCar, Formula 3, Skip Barber. The Spec Racer Ford community always has a good one. But personally, I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of tin tops because it's been a while.
Yeah, have we done like the Ferrari GT3s yet?
No.
Like the fixed series?
We haven't.
That might just be an idea,
Yep.
Very much so. But obviously, I can't try to influence anything. Of course, it's up to the viewers. But me and of course yourself, Will, we've been broadcasting this series for the past few years at this point, which is a scary thought. Of course, it's fallen on different days. I remember when it was Wednesday prime time, I believe.
We did a Wednesday and a Friday at one
yeah.
point. I mean, don't forget, this was my crazy, stupid idea. One of two things that we've done for the iRacing community. The other one that we did was Race Day. Of course, we've got to remember, we did the Super Cup before the Super Cup was a thing. And it was all my idea. But on top of that, yeah, it's been fantastic seeing the diversity. We've tried some different formats over the years between choosing one series or two series or having a different race each week. I think that variety is always the spice of life, and I think that what we have seen is not only opportunity to see some great racing, but showcase some drivers who we otherwise wouldn't get the opportunity to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the entire points of these broadcasts, is to sort of give back to the iRacing community. Of course, here at Racesport, at least, we go on to do bigger and better things with Porsche and BMW, etc., etc. But we know where a lot of those drivers come from, and it's from the official iRacing side of things, And to shine the spotlight back on them, give something back, is it's always a good thing to do. And I know people very much appreciate these sorts of broadcasts going on week to week, no matter what series it actually is.
Yeah. Should we have a look at some results?
Let's have a look. Fernando Anthony Busquets will win here today for the final race of the season with Ralph Benitez. He had a try right at the end of the race, but he falls short. 0.947 seconds behind your race leader, finishes in P2. We've got Guillaume Defendre. He had a couple of issues throughout the race, but he's able to recover and hold station in P3, the final step of the podium. Mehdi Sekai, a pretty quiet race as far as we're concerned, but he climbs 2 positions up into P4, with Suelio Almeida remaining exactly where he started in P5. Loic Bab had a pretty good race up into P6, with Nathan Brito having a mixed one in P7. David Holland in P8, with Alistair Hay in P9. Luciano Lorenco in P10, gaining 9 positions on his qualifying. That is very, very good indeed. Juan Pablo Toni, Cedric Krolczyk, Sebastian Chevalier, Christophe Herbinot, and Amelien Wies will bring things down to P15. And then P16 will go to Berchetti, Berol, Nimi, and Bruno Berg will send us down to P19 in this particular race. So those are the race results over and done with. We don't have any post-race interviews for you this week. So I think it's just about time to wrap up the entire season here. Thank you so much for supporting us across this 12 weeks. And don't worry, we'll be back after week 13 to do it all again, but with a very, very different series indeed. Keep the forums tabs refreshed, I suppose, to try and look for the thread that goes up to try and decide what we broadcast for the next 12 weeks.
And Facebook.
And Facebook, yeah, we do post it on other social media channels as well. But I've been Connery Medic, that's been Will Vincent, and join us after a 1-week break for more Racesport TV Friday Prime Time.
Au revoir et merci pour une belle saison. À bientôt, mon poulet français.